Hey, I'm Jim. That's Warren. You're watching Talking Vintage Vendor Corner.
There you go.
Take 4, show number 15. Brought to you by Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, located in Lakeland, Florida. Like I said, I'm Jim. Warren. We are vendors here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot, and I'm also the shop owner. You're watching this show so that you can learn the ins and outs, or
Of the business.
get an
Of the
insight
business,
of the
yeah.
ins and outs of being a booth owner.
Booth owner.
Yeah, booth owner. And I think I'm going to refer to you guys as booth owners instead of vendors. I like that better.
Yeah, it's something a little different.
Yeah, because you do own your own booth. It's your responsibility to take care of that, to market it. We talked about that in another show. I think it was show 2. Check out the past shows because they've got a lot of different insights in them to them, too. Today's topic. We welcome you, and then we go into whatever today's topic is. Today's topic is, what are some odd rules that your shop has? Do you agree with them, disagree with them, and why do you think they're in place? Now, I asked this out on social media, and the very first response I got was, what's an odd rule? Well, that's what I'm asking. That was what I was asking. And of course, somebody else responded to it and said that's what he is asking. So we'll start off with that. We're going to start off with a rule here at Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot that I feel is odd, maybe. Can't park on property on Saturdays. You agree or disagree?
Oh, I agree.
I agree too. The reason behind can't parking on Saturdays is because we are very limited in parking, and Saturdays happens to be our biggest day.
Yeah.
So, so we want people to be able to park in the shop or whatever, and the vendors don't need to do that. It's caused a lot of strife. We've had a lot of headaches. People coming in, I'm only going to park for a minute, and then they wound up an hour, and then out of the 50 plus vendors we have, it only takes a handful of them to be there for just a minute, and then we don't have any parking for customers. And for me, the line in the sand got drawn when one day I was coming in the shop and I noticed people trying to get into the parking lot and turning around and not going somewhere else to park, but leaving. And I was very frustrated with that, and I said, absolutely no more. No more parking on property. There were 6 vendors here at the time when this happened, and they were all just here for a minute. And I was like, no, we're done. We're done. No more parking on property. We still get a lot of, negative response to it, but everybody seems to follow the rule. But some vendor had to chime in and say, well, they must have not really wanted to shop here if they just turned around and left. No, that's not it. That's
silly.
they just went to somewhere else where they could park was the answer there. Okay, so let's go over the rules that people have come up with. Anything with stuffing in it has to be fumigated. And they agreed with it, and I guess the reasoning behind that was bed bugs.
Okay.
So, yeah, definitely a different rule there. They cannot paint their walls any color they want to. I imagine they disagree, but they didn't say. And I imagine the reason is just the overall atmosphere of the shop. I mean, I don't know. If somebody came to me and said, I want to paint it this color, I'm pretty easy to get along with sometimes. I'd probably let it go just to see if it works. If it didn't work or people were offended, I don't know. Can you be offended by a color? I don't know. So we can't get stuck on any one of these because we have several to go over. No appliances or power tools. They didn't say whether they agreed or disagree. I don't know. No appliances or power tools. We have a hard time here when old lamps come up. I mean, we almost take turns trying to plug them in to see if they still work because we're afraid. Yeah, so, I mean, I agree. I guess I agree with that rule. I would rather see a lamp that the cord was really damaged on just cut and let somebody rewire it on their own after they purchased it. So, and the reason being because it's probably a shock hazard.
Well, that or you'll burn out the fuses or whatever.
Yeah. Here's a good one. No rocking chairs or high chair. Okay, but they said it was if the owner feels they are unsafe. They didn't say whether they agreed or disagreed, but I can tell you from our standpoint, I don't know about the rockers. They said it was because people don't know how to sit in them and they were breaking them and they become trip hazards. But as far as the high chairs go, it's a ding in our insurance. We would have to identify whether we sell those things or not.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
We would not know that. You would know that.
Yeah. So it's an insurance thing there. And then somebody said, no modern stuffed toys. Okay, and they didn't say they agreed or disagreed. I would agree and disagree. I would agree that you don't need just a random one that you get out of a claw machine last week, but some of them are collectible. The Disney stuff is collectible. So I would agree that those are okay in here because they're on the collectible end of it.
You got talking stuff, dogs and animals and chickens and
They
stuff
need to
like
be
that.
old. They can't
Well,
just be bought
Well,
yesterday
right, well,
because
yeah,
they're
right,
not
right,
collectible.
Right.
They're not, you can't throw them in the collectible bucket, even though some people might collect them. Just because one person collects them doesn't make them collectible. So, you know, the little ones you press the thumb and they dance and do stuff
Mm-hmm,
with, those are not collectible. But the older ones, you know, they're vintage,
Right.
so they can go. No newer or new electronics. I agree with that. You know, you don't need the like digital cameras. You don't need like the small digital cameras that came out in the last 10 years. You don't need those.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't need the, I don't know. What
Newer record players, you know, because they got reproductions now out there.
that's a reproduction piece, you
right.
know? But I'd have to agree with that. We don't need to, you know, have like cell phones and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah, yeah. They just don't fit. And here's an odd rule, but this is our rule: no sales. They're not allowed to have sales, and I agree with that. They didn't say whether they agreed or disagree, but I agree with that. I travel a little bit. I go to the same places every year at the same time every year, and I see the same booths on sale every year. Every year. And so, I mean, for me as a customer, I'm a customer then. Yeah, I mean, I have a slanted view of things, but I'm a customer and I see it and I go, wait a minute, it was on sale last year. I just go on by. And then the shop gets that feeling that everything is on sale. They're all on sale. You know what I mean? Everybody's always moving out. It's the same people moving out with the same stuff they had a year ago. You know, so we do not allow that here at Decades Reclaim Vintage Depot. We have store-wide sales that you can participate in, but they are done and they are advertised and put out there as a store-wide sale. So like we had Spotted Dot recently, where you could put dots on your items in your booth and they corresponded to a certain percentage off in your booth. We have Vendor of the Week,
Right.
which allows 2 vendors every week to put their booth on sale for a single week and they get to pick their percentage. So when somebody comes in 4 weeks ago and they see that Warren was on sale and they come back 4 weeks later, Warren's not going to be on sale. It's going to be somebody different. And so we like that. We like that.
People
So
like sales, so you got.
they do like sales, and we have them, but we just don't allow them to do them whenever they want to.
There you go.
Right? No adult magazines. I mean, I agree because I think some parts they're illegal. You know, here in Polk County, we have Grady Judd. He might frown upon that. And you don't want Grady Judd to frown upon anything in Polk County, for sure.
Plus,
Yeah.
we get little kitties in here.
Yeah, and they don't need to see that. Yep. So here's another one. No deer antlers or fur, nothing from an animal. They didn't agree or disagree, and they didn't say why. The only reason I could think of is the owner is a true animal lover and doesn't want that stuff in their shop. I get that. Or maybe it's illegal. I think in some states it might be illegal. So, or it could be an insurance thing. Who knows? But they did not give the answer why. No business cards allowed in your booth promoting
Your
business. Yeah. So, I mean, I agree to that unless you're, you know, like in Warren's case, Warren is just here for the most part. You don't advertise your stuff you sell on eBay,
No.
but you advertise you're here. I mean, that's all good. But I can understand why they would do that because they want to discourage vendors from selling outside the shop.
Right.
That's the whole reasoning behind that one. No lock cases. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no lock case. Didn't say whether they agreed or disagreed and didn't say why. The only reason I can think of is like I've been to a few malls that are absolutely massive. And they had upstairs, downstairs. That's how big these were, upstairs and downstairs. And I could imagine you and I working, and then somebody comes in and they want to see a lock case in booth 24, which is upstairs. Okay, Warren, here's the key. Go upstairs. You know, and help 24, and then somebody else is at the counter with 12 bags of stuff, and I got nobody to help me get it out for them, nobody here to move a table out because you're gone. I mean, I guess that could happen in any instance, but that's one way to eliminate that. I guess that was my thought. I guess because you have to constantly go to the counter to get the key to have somebody let you in. I guess. So I don't know if I agree or disagree with it. I guess if the shop was really big, I might agree with it more. So here's a really, really odd one. No Halloween. They don't allow Halloween.
Really?
They didn't say why or not, and they didn't say well, most people that chimed in on this one disagreed with it, but they didn't say why their particular shop doesn't allow it. But I can imagine maybe it's a religious view that the shop owner has, and they don't like Halloween or they don't celebrate Halloween, so they don't allow Halloween in there. But Halloween's a big seller here at Decades and all over the place. People, it's close to Christmas and Thanksgiving, really. And it is close to Christmas and Thanksgiving on the calendar. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
No knives or lighters. They didn't agree or disagree or say why, but I know here at Decades we are not supposed to have lighters here. It's a fire hazard, but if you seal them up, that you're taking away that fire hazard, we are not allowed, period, to have any lighter fluid. Not allowed, period. You can't even wrap it up. You just can't have it. And the knives, I guess the same thing, but we keep most of our knives are, well, most of them are locked up.
Yeah.
So.
'Cause most of them are very collectible, so.
Yeah, but they're
and
locked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, all in all, there were a lot of good answers to this question. Oh, what you were supposed to tell me? What did I tell you?
About shoes and clothes.
Oh, yeah, a lot of places don't allow clothes. And I don't know whether that's a bed bug thing, but a lot of places don't have clothes or shoes. And I guess, I get the shoes because you're not going to sell like, 100-year-old shoes. They're not going to be viable anymore.
No,
And if you did, they would be in a case.
Right.
Yeah, no, we don't want to get into a sneaker mart. You know what I
No,
mean?
well, no,
Yeah.
sneakers is one thing,
Yeah.
and dress shoes, but, baby shoes.
Baby shoes, stuff like that.
tap
Those are
shoes,
cute. Those are kind of
ballerina
cute.
shoes.
I don't know. No.
I mean, kitties, okay.
Yeah. So there were a lot of good questions to the answer of what odd rules were. But a lot of people didn't agree or disagree, and I was hoping to get more of that, and a lot of people didn't say why. Bottom line is, if your shop has rules, you got to follow them, whether you like them or not. You don't have to like them. Nobody says you have to like them, but you
If
have
you
to
don't
follow
like
them.
them, then don't.
Yeah, go to a different
Yeah,
shop. So,
exactly.
that's it for us. I'm Jim. That's Warren. You've been watching Talking Vintage Vendor Corner. You can see us in 2 weeks. If you haven't done so already, give us a like and then subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. We would like to get more than 20 subscribers on our channel. You've got choices here on the channel. You can watch the Talking Vintage Vendor Corner. You can watch our weekly show that comes out on Facebook for our area for Decades Reclaimed Vintage Depot. Talk about what's going on at Decades. You can watch that. And then Warren is the king of all the shorts here with his jokes that he does. Yeah, so there's some entertainment value here, but we appreciate you guys watching, especially all the way to the end. I'm Jim, that's Warren, and you've been watching Talking Vintage Vendor Corner. Thanks a lot. Say goodbye, Warren.
Say goodbye.